We're going to discuss using a term planner to manage large assignments. So what is a term planner? A term planner is a tool that students can use to plan how they will complete assignments, make decisions about managing multiple assignments, which are really competing tasks, and monitor their progress to detect problems early. Students might find a term planner to be helpful so that they can detect problems earlier in a term. They really can reduce the amount of stress they may feel and take steps to address a challenging task by applying a learning strategy or by seeking advice from somebody on campus like the learning strategist, the writing center, supplemental instructors, tutors, professors, especially if they can't solve the issue independently. It really takes time to get used to planning an entire term, but it really is time well spent. Students are not expected to create a perfect planner to prevent problems. That's not realistic. In fact, it is preferred that you make mistakes in your planner. These planning mistakes will provide insight for future planning. Learning to manage large assignments, well, that takes practice and time. When you were in secondary school or high school or any other similar environment, it is likely that your teachers, your family, or your friends reminded you about the smaller steps that you were needed to complete to get your work done. In university or college, it is your responsibility to understand the scope of your work, monitor your progress, and take steps to address any difficulties as they arise. Consider it a process of refining your professional or newly professional skills. The goal is to have a plan, but the other part of that goal is being able to adjust your plan. If you don't have a plan, it's hard to adjust. Remember, course assignments are created to help students to meet course objectives and goals. The completion of an assignment alone does not guarantee that you will learn something. So adjust your time to plan for real learning. Your assignments can help you prepare for exams, practice essential skills that you need to become functional within a new discipline or within an academic environment in general. But really in the longer term, if you can plan multiple large assignments, you are also preparing yourself to manage similar situations in your future profession. So how do you complete a term planner? It looks very complex, but here are the basics, and it's not too bad once you get used to it. You need copies of all of your course syllabi or your course outlines. Professors in these documents often list all of the assignments that are required and they assign a percentage to it. This percentage determines the worth or the weight of an assignment as it contributes to a final grade. To start a term planner, assign one column to each course. So if you take a look at this sample term planner, let's take a look here at sociology. If you'll notice, this column looks a little overwhelming. And I don't know how to highlight it. There we go. So assign one column to each of your courses. Add all of the dates in the term to the left-hand column, as you can see running down there. Once you get used to looking at your entire term at a glance, you really are in a better position to get your work done in a more manageable way. So remember that columns run top to bottom and rows run left to right. In the first course column, for us, we're looking at sociology, you would add all of the names of your major assignments in the appropriate weeks with its percentage. Next, you would add all of the assignments into the column and just plop them in. So if you look at the English column, the statistics column, or the psych column, this is what your initial document should look like. Just the assignments listed in the appropriate weeks with the percentage that is assigned to each one by your professors. Next, you want to calculate how many hours you think you may need to complete the smaller steps of the assignments. Usually, it's about 1 to 3 hours per week. As a rule of thumb, let's take the average and think of it as 2 hours for every 5% that an assignment is worth. If an assignment is worth less than 15%, that usually is a sign, not always, but usually, it's a sign that you can complete it without much planning other than to plan the work itself. In terms of time, it usually might take you a week or two. Not a whole lot of breaking down is needed there. So for 15%, give yourself about 6 hours, 20% about 8 hours, 25%, about 10 hours, 30 is 15 hours, 35% is 20 hours. Again, I'll keep going, 40%, 25 hours, 45%, about 30 hours. So that's a really handy piece of information to know because it allows you to determine when you do your work. Essentially, once you have your assignment plotted in your planner, you work backwards from the due date and assign the number of hours needed in each of the weeks, in each of your rows of your column. For example, let's take a look at the midterm highlighted in green in the sociology column. When we look at Wednesday, October 14th, that is the due date for that midterm. It's a multiple choice midterm, so another consideration is to learn about your assignments and assessments. If you are not feeling comfortable with multiple choice tests or exams, you may really wish to spend more time or plan more time. So perhaps you could visit the learning strategist to learn about the best practices or best steps that you can take to manage a multiple choice exam. Also notice how the midterm and the big research paper that is highlighted in blue, how they overlap. So there is a point in the middle of the term where you will be working on two things at once. Of course, not in the same hours, but during the same week. A handy feature of the term planner also resides in the rows. So when you plan a column in the planner for each of your courses, you do have enough information to then notice how much work you have overall in any given week in a term. It is at this point that you can decide to adjust your work schedule to reduce the amount of work that you have in 1 week. This really puts you in control. It empowers you to take action over your term instead of letting an academic term just take control of your life. That's not a good experience. To learn more about understanding the requirements of your assignments or to learn more about managing your time, contact the learning strategist. We can also look at planning a weekly study schedule where you are planning to complete a little bit of studying every week, and really that reduces your workload when it comes to preparing for midterms. And also to really avoid creating a sample a term planner that is looking to be too overwhelming. Plan your steps on a working document, but then take those smaller steps and put them into an agenda or a weekly schedule for studying. It really can help you to manage all of the smaller steps, but at least when you have them written down in a term planner, you know what's coming, you know how to track it, and you can just simply be in control of your term. Thanks.